Just about there, just about there. There we go. Hello, friends. Thanks for joining me again, whoever you may be. My name's Dan. Daily Art Adventure number 636. Can you believe it? I've called it here Details, Acrylic, on a 6 by 6 foot painting. I am excited about this painting. I started it on Friday, painted Friday, Saturday, some Friday, some Saturday, and some yesterday. And if you've been following me, then you know this is a grand experiment, considerably more of an experiment than most of my paintings. Try not to repeat everything I've been saying about it for the last several broadcasts. I'll just say that my hope and ambition is to have a lot more abstract stuff showing through when the painting is finished than I usually do. I've been wanting that for a long time, and I just, for some reason, feel like I might finally be on the verge of accomplishing that elusive goal. I'm having quite a bit of fun starting yesterday. There's my bicycle again, just to prove that I really am in my garage. I had quite a bit of fun yesterday doing detailed drawing. So all of this is all in acrylics, of course. All of that and that. And given the overall size of the painting, that's quite a high degree of detail. I find myself feeling even freer than usual. And as most of you know, I'm usually a pretty free feeling kind of guy. But I'm feeling even freer than normal to really sink my teeth into some serious, realistic drawing, detailed drawing. I think staying well shy of tongue painting, however, or tongue drawing, as the case may be. But accurate and detailed nonetheless. The reason I'm feeling that freedom is precisely because of the looseness that I am, at least so far, successfully maintaining in my painting. And by looseness, I mean in particular allowing the initial abstract painting. And if there's anybody watching me and you're not a regular, then let me explain that for the last couple of years anyway, all of my paintings start out with an abstract painting that is virtually the opposite of whatever my image is going to be. For instance, here in a cityscape, I have a lot of vertical marks, right? So I'm careful not to do any abstract marks that coincide with those shapes. All my marks here go that way. Likewise, I'm careful to do the abstract painting in colors complementary, the opposite of what the finished paintings will be. All right, I'm going to move myself down here now. And it would be quite a mistake to continue with the degree of detail I just showed you. It would be quite a mistake to continue that degree of detail throughout the whole painting. So I certainly will not do that. But I will continue to do detail here in the epicenter, or the heart of my painting, perhaps I could call it. So this principle, the fact that I'm feeling quite free to do more detail and more realism than usual, brings me back to an analogy that I have used quite often over the last couple of years, and that is the analogy of the dance. This is the analogy helps answer the question, well, if you're painting, as I do, in layer upon layer, and in most cases transparent layer, how do you know what to do next? How do you decide what to paint next? Okay, so to answer that question, I have a word picture. I compare the act of painting to a dance, in which it's like a choreographed dance, in which there are several distinct steps. And I can describe these steps as in 3 pairs. Okay, so this will make sense in a minute. In a dance, large steps and small steps, light steps and dark steps. Now, I don't know how in real dancing what a lighter and dark step would be, so perhaps I'm muddling my my analogy somewhat. But anyway, light steps and dark steps, and then literal steps and abstract or expressive steps. Okay, so let me jump right to the application, the understanding of that. When you're painting, you finish one stage, phase, or layer of the painting process, and you're ready to move on to the next layer. If you've been doing a lot of dark stuff, then you should seriously consider doing some light stuff. If you've been doing large stuff, you should consider doing small stuff. So that's exactly what I'm doing here, and that's why I feel free to do, have been feeling free here yesterday, to do unusual detail, because in contrast to this detail, I've been doing a lot of, and continue to do a lot of abstraction, a lot of abstract stuff. Okay, so that's why I'm doing more a more tight rendering than perhaps normal, is because I've been doing more mess than normal. Does that make sense? So it's like a counterbalance. All right, you've already seen me do several things just while I've been sitting here or standing here that are very intentional, conscious attempts to retain the initial abstract painting, to keep it seeable, visible. I'll describe some of those things that I'm doing for you. In order to keep the initial abstract underpainting visible, instead of letting it get covered up, which is what has been happening too much over the last several years, and that's what I'm trying to get away from. One thing is that frequently when I put down a mark, I'll come back with a rag or some other tool and wipe off that mark. So again, so that I'm exposing the abstract underpainting underneath. Another trick that I've been doing, let me look for an excuse to do this right now. Okay, right here. See this purple line? I don't have purple on my brush right now, but I have pink. It's close enough. I'm actually echoing, tracing on top of some of my, I've done quite a bit of that actually. In the last little while. Right there, that's just quote unquote, that's me erasing, which I don't do very often. It's an unusual move. Yeah, I'll do a little bit more in that vicinity, I guess. And along with a higher amount of careful realism, I'm also doing, surprisingly, I'm the one who's surprised. I'm doing a bit more opaque color. I don't usually, that's unusual for me to do much, if any, opaque abstract color. I do opaque white, but not much color. But anyway, I've been doing more of that. So that's, again, a slight departure from my norm. I'll leave that zone for a while, that area. Let's go way up here. Time to step on a step ladder. Okay. Oh, there we go. Just about right. Some of you know that my use of pencils, which is quite unconventional, the purpose of the pencils is partly to misplace my brushes here. Oh, left them in the water. Ooh, that's a no-no. You don't leave your brushes in the water, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. The pencils are for drawing, but even more than that, they are for creating interesting texture. And that's some of what you just saw me doing right there. Okay, so here's an example of, you see this blue streak right here. It's part of the original abstract painting. So by drawing a damp rag through the stuff I just put there, I reinvigorate, reactivate, make that abstract part of the painting more visible again. Does that make sense? I'm sure it does. Now, because I'm doing so much more slower detail, I think it would be a fair way to put this. That means a slower painting process, and that in turn would mean a considerably more boring broadcast. So I'm not going to just stream endlessly here. I'll do some of this and then bid you a fond adieu and bring you back in later. So just want you to see where I'm going. Again, it's a great adventure for me. Again, the hope is that I'll let more of the abstract under. Why? Why do I want more of the abstract underpainting? That's a grandchild answer to that question. Why? Why do I do anything on a painting? The answer is because I think it's going to make it a more interesting painting. Now, you already knew that, but that's the answer, okay? Why do I want more abstract to show through? Because I think it's going to make it a better painting, and I'll go one better than that. As I've been painting yesterday and today, without your company, I've been reminded. Hang on, I've got to count something here. I've been reminded of another analogy, another word picture that I've used in the past in the painting process, but I haven't used it much lately. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4. Top of the tree is right about here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another analogy has come to mind. It comes from jazz music. If you're a jazz fan, then you understand this. If you're not, bear with me just a minute. I'll try to explain it to you. One of the high values among serious jazz musicians. I'm a musician, and I play semi-jazz. I feel like I'm not smart enough to play real jazz, but I appreciate it when I hear it. One of the goals of a good jazz musician is to play in the groove. The groove is essentially the rhythm, the steady rhythm of a piece of music. The goal of a jazz musician, especially the drummer and bass player, and the keyboard, all the rhythm instruments, is to play in the groove without playing the groove. In other words, to stay in the rhythm of the piece of music, but without playing the rhythm of the piece of music. So, again, especially a drummer, he gets great joy and credit from his fellow musicians, not for going boom chick boom chick boom chick boom chick, but for playing all around the boom chick by playing all kinds of other stuff, so that a person uninitiated to the world of jazz music would in fact not even be able to hear, as they were listening, they wouldn't even hear the rhythm, boom chick boom chick boom chick boom. They wouldn't even hear that because the drummer wouldn't be playing it. But the drummer would be going all over the place rhythmically, and yet a good drummer in his mind the entire time that he's playing all over the place inside his head that you can't hear, he's still going boom chick boom chick, whatever, that's a pretty boring rhythm, but he's got that going on inside his mind the entire time. So the analogy an analogy in art, in what I'm doing now, is I want to paint buildings, but not by painting buildings, but by painting all kinds of other stuff, and especially painting this wild and crazy abstract stuff that's sneaking through underneath. Staying just close enough, I'll finish that sentence, staying just close enough to literal representation of the building so that we can see it, sort of, but without seeing it. I don't know if that makes sense. See it without me rendering it per se. I don't know, that might be hard for you to understand what I'm talking about. Let me say it in other words, and let me focus on it. Oh, it's still there. Okay, so you see this big orange swoosh, part of the original abstract painting, and you see that it crashes right through this building. In fact, I'm going to help it crash just a little bit more by picking up a water-soluble pastel orange and actually re-emphasizing it. That's the kind of thing I've been doing. Now, your eye, here's what's surprising me. You still see the building. You also see the orange swash, line, scratch right on top of the building. But unless you're really upset OCD, you ignore that orange, and when you're looking for the picture, you see building and building, in spite of the fact that there's a big orange swoosh, swash, whichever word you like, right across the middle of it. Does that make sense? You still see building. And I am contending and counting on the fact that, ironically, and it is ironic, that creates some kind of pleasure, aesthetic pleasure in your brain. Not that I managed somehow to capture in paint a painting of BB&T building, bank building, what gives you a little zing of aesthetic pleasure is the fact that you have to look around and beyond things like orange swatches, swatches of color, in order to apprehend the building. And you're not having any trouble, are you? You're not having any trouble seeing that building. And yet that orange is there. Okay, so that's, I don't know, the whole painting process for me. For instance, let's look at the sky. The sky is a huge, crazy hodgepodge of stuff. Let's just focus on, for instance, this big orange splatter. You can tell I had a big brush full of orange paint, and I went whack, and it's just like it looks. All right, how much of that will still be visible in the finished painting? And right now, I have no idea. But now the question I'm asking myself is, how much of all of this, how much of that splash and all of that can I leave perfectly visible before my audience, if I can use that term, before my audience begins to lose blue sky? And that's the question. And that's the question I'm going to try to be answering. How much of this mess can I leave visible, and the audience, again, to use a strange term, and the audience still perceives blue sky? All right, so that's what I'm playing with, and I am having a lot of fun. All right, that's all I have to say for now. I think I'll keep this broadcast going. That is to say, I'm gonna pause it instead of stop it so that I can come back later. I'm going to be working on this building again. It would be a mistake to carry this degree of detail all the way to the edges, so I certainly won't. It'll get more abstract as we move out. This is the center of the painting, is this U shape right here. But I'll be drawing by myself here for a while, and I'll bring you back in when I start doing something interesting. All right, good enough? Thanks. Be back in a while. Bye-bye. Sorry about that no sound. So I didn't do a lot of painting while you were gone. I had a lot of interruptions. I just want to Just a minute. I got a funny thing happening here. Sorry about that. All right. Anyway, boy, all kinds of messes. I've been mostly just painting this face of this building, and you can see some of my strategy here. I really am painting differently from normal, so that excites me. That makes me think I might actually be able to round this corner here and move into a new level of painting. One strategy is, as I'm painting along, I just skip over some of the underpainting so it continues to show through. That's one. Number two, sometimes I paint over the underpainting, then pick up a rag before it dries and wipe it off. I wipe off what I just painted. So again, so I'm re-exposing what is underneath. And thirdly, sometimes I paint over it, that is, paint over the underpainting, then come back and reapply the abstract underneath. So I don't know about you, I'm very much enjoying this look of this building, fairly carefully rendered building with these crazy abstract marks. Now, it will be in the final edit layers that I, of course, decide exactly how much of that underpainting to allow remaining through, but I can make that decision when I come to it. My job is, up until then, try to keep as much as possible, so to speak. All right, so I'm going to end this broadcast here. I'm excited because I've been imagining this advance in a vague manner for a long time, and if I can actually accomplish it, I'll be quite excited. All right, thanks for watching. I hope to broadcast again tomorrow. Yep, thanks. Bye-bye.